Hey Omies, I'm Ewashkiw from Adventure Yoga. Thanks for choosing this class. This class is all about choice, so you're already getting going. This is a 55-minute Hatha class, it's all levels, and the choices we're going to make today are going to affect how we work on our lower back. We're making choices all the time, and we don't always think about the choices we make. This practice is going to help you think about that and start to be more conscious of the choices you make. It's also a really stormy day in Bali when I filmed this class, so be prepared for the sounds of a tropical rainstorm. Unroll your mat if you're ready for that, and I'll meet you there in just a few seconds.
You might want a yoga block today for class, so if you have a block, great, you can grab it. If you don't have a block, you can always use a thick book. But if you don't have either of those, it's not really necessary. It's going to be optional in class. So you are going to get some choices. But for now, let's begin. You've got the sound of rain today in class, so you have to enjoy that. It's pretty dark in here, so I hope you can see me. To start, we're going to lie down. So lie down on your back. Have your knees bent and feet on the ground. And you can choose. I like to have my feet wide and knees together here, but you can have your feet together, knees together, or you can do something else here. Find what feels good in your body, in your mind. And relax here. Take your focus to your lower back. Relax your lower back. I'm going to help you relax your lower back. Bring your knees up into your chest a little. Take your hands and hold your knees. Straighten your arms, move your knees away from your chest. And then you've got a little bit of freedom to what you do here. Move your knees. You can move them backwards and forwards. You can move them away from each other and back towards each other. You can move them in little circles. You can move them together in little circles. It's up to you. Get a little bit of movement here. You can use your knees to help you move, your hip flexors. You can move your arms to help you move them. It's a little free-form movement. It's nice for your knees. It's also nice for your hips to get a little bit of movement and freedom here. But since our focus is your lower back, it's also a nice little massage for your lower back. Think about your lower back. Place your focus there and see how all this movement does get you a little massage for your lower back. And now that you're thinking about it, it'll be a little more of a conscious massage. Even if you're not changing what you're doing. Then slow it down. Become still. Bring your knees in towards your chest. And you're going to rock and roll backwards and forwards until you can sit up. Rock and roll, lift your head and shoulders. And sit up. Sit cross-legged, Sukhasana. Place your hands on your thighs. Sit up tall. Take one hand onto your belly. Place your hand over your belly button. And then, using your hand to encourage the action, move your belly back towards your spine a little bit. And then lift your hand a little so your belly lifts a little into the bottom of your ribs. Keep that as you take your hand away. And you can remind yourself to do that. It's move the space around your navel back towards your spine and a little lift into the bottom of your ribs. Keep that toning. We sometimes call that Uddiyana Bandha. It's really shorthand for Uddiyana Bandha. And then relax. We're going to come back to that action again and again in class. Take one hand, place it over your belly, over your navel. And then imagine all of the belly flesh that you're touching with your hand. Move that back towards your spine. Give it a little lift into the bottom of your rib cage. Keep that as you take your hand away. That engagement helps not only to lift you up in the pose, it helps you to tone your lower back. It creates a little bit of tension in the air in your abdomen to protect your lower back. Pretty cool. Body is really amazing. And then relax that. Don't worry, we'll come back to it again and again. Close your eyes. And breathe. You get to choose how you breathe. You can just breathe naturally. Sahaja, we call that in Sanskrit. Sahaja. Just means your natural breath. Or you can do Ujjayi Pranayama. If you did a little Ujjayi work before class, you can come back to that here. If you didn't do Ujjayi work before class, you can start that practice here. And you could also just make your breath a little longer. So bring a little more conscious effort into your inhale and your exhale. Choose one of those three breath patterns. Natural breath, Ujjayi, or just a steady breath, conscious breath. And I assume you can hear the rain, so listen to the rain. Remember how you touched your hand to your belly. Now you're going to do that with a hand that only exists in your mind. So with an invisible hand, with your mind hand, touch your belly. So keep your real hands on your lap. Touch your belly with your mind. And move the space around your navel back towards your spine. You get a little lift into the bottom of your ribs. Work to keep that engagement as you come back to whatever breath pattern you are doing. Natural breath, Ujjayi breath, or just a slightly more conscious breath. Keep that toning and lift in your belly. Lift through your spine. And bring your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra, the prayer position. And choose whether you would like to sing one Om with me or listen. Exhale. Inhale. Bow your chin to your chest. Lower your hands to your lap. Lift your chin. Open your eyes. And please come onto your hands and knees. All fours. Have your wrists parallel to the short edge of your mat. Bring your shoulders over your wrists. And choose knees right under the front of your hips or knees a little bit behind, slightly open a little bit more in your hip joint. Then we're going to do 3 rounds of cat and cow. So I want you to focus on your lower back. And go with me. Round your back into cat pose. Tuck your butt underneath you. And really widen your lower back. Create a nice rounding in your lower back. And then cow pose. Arch your lower back and the rest of your back. Look up. Round your back, especially round your lower back. Cat pose. Stretch your spine. Push through your hands and your knees. And then shift it into cow pose. Lift your chest forward and up. Lift through your tailbone and arch your lower back. One more cat. Stretch your spine. One more cow. Stretch your belly. And then come to neutral. Come up onto your fingertips. Step your left foot forward. Low lunge. Come up onto your fingertips if you didn't step forward. Have your left ankle underneath your left knee. And then walk your right knee back a little bit more. So that you start to open up the front of your right hip a little bit. Look forward. And then walk your left foot over to the left and bring your left hand inside your left leg. So walk your left foot over, bring your left hand inside your left leg. Place your hands flat on the ground. And then push down with your hips. Stretch forward with your left knee. Stretch back with your right knee. You can stay here, or bend your elbows, and lower your chest some. And you can stay here, or bring your forearms down to the ground. 3 choices for this low lunge with a hip opening. Take your mind to your lower back and place your focus there. We get sort of a cross diagonal stretch through our lower back here. Straighten your arms, place your hands on the ground if you're on your forearms. Walk your left foot in, take your left hand outside your left leg. Come up on your fingertips on both hands, and change sides. Step your left leg back, step your right foot forward. Bring your right ankle underneath your right knee, and walk your right foot over to the right, bring your right hand inside your right leg. And come down to your hands. Look forward, walk your left knee back a little bit. Get a little more opening through your left hip. And then stretch out through your right knee. Stretch back through your left knee. You can stay here. You get 3 choices. Stay here. Bend your elbows and lower your chest some and stay there. Or come down to your forearms and stay there. You get to choose. Whichever variation you do, place your focus into your lower back. Where you place your focus matters. It's where you're going to find more space, more awareness, more connection. If you're on your forearms, come back to your hands. If your elbows are bent, straighten your arms. Walk your right foot in, bring your right hand outside your right foot. And come up onto your fingertips. And change sides again. Step your right leg back, step your left foot forward. Tuck your right toes under and bring your right knee off the ground. High lunge, we sometimes call this. Stretch your left knee forward over your ankle, push through your feet, and bring your hands up onto your waist. Steady your balance. That was for me, maybe more than for you. Tone your belly. Move your belly back towards your spine. And get a little lift into the bottom of your ribs, and then use that to help you stretch your arms up as you stretch your spine. Hold your right wrist with your left hand. Stretch up and side bend to the left. Keep toning your belly. Move it back towards your spine. lift into the bottom of your ribs, so you lift up out of your hips a little more. Straighten your right leg back behind you. Come back up the center. Bring your hands down to the ground. Bring your right knee down to the ground. Step your left foot back. Step your right forward. Same thing other side. Crescent, crescent, I call this one. Bring your left knee off the ground. Stretch your right knee forward. Straighten your left leg. Push through your feet. Lift your torso. Bring your hands onto your waist. Take one of your hands, touch your belly. Move your belly back towards your spine. Get a little lift into the bottom of your rib cage and stretch both arms up. Hold your left wrist with your right hand and side bend to the right. Crescent, crescent. Move your belly back towards your spine. Lift up and out of the pose. Side bend more. Straighten your left leg back behind you. Come back to center. Bring your hands down to the ground. And step it back, downward facing dog. And stretch it out here. Nice balanced stretch. And then shift forward and bring your knees down to the ground. Take your left knee to the center of your mat. Take your right knee. Wedge it in back behind your left knee. Separate your feet. Walk your hands back and sit down between your heels. If you can get your right hip down to the ground here, do. Your left hip will be off the ground. That's just the way the pose is. But if your left hip is off the ground a lot, and maybe even your right hip off the ground, then you might want the block or the book if you got one of those for class. You're going to take that and prop it under your right hip, so under the hip that's closer to the ground. You can lift up and place it under your right hip and sit on it. That's going to help you find the balance in your hips in this pose. This pose is called Gomukhasana, or cow face pose. We're just going to do the legs for cow face pose today. We're not going to do the arms. We'll do something else with our arms. Behind your back, interlace your fingers. Bring your upper arms out, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Paschimottanasana Baddha this is called. That's what you're doing with your hands and your arms. Everything's got a fancy yoga name in yoga. And then take that invisible hand, the hand in your mind, and touch your belly with it. Move it back, so your belly moves back towards your spine a little. Stick your butt back a little. Draw your lower back in and lift up from your belly. So you get that toning of your belly. That's just to make sure that your lower back is protected and building that focus, that awareness for you. Lift your hands a little bit higher and stretch through your shoulders. Squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other. Release your hands. Walk your hands forward and lift your hips up. And if you place the prop under your right hip, move it out of the way. Untuck your right knee from behind your left. Move your left knee over to the left. Move your right knee to the center of your mat. And then tuck your left knee in back behind your right knee. Move your right shin over to the left shin over to the right. Walk your hands back and sit down. And again, here, if your right hip is lifted a lot, you're going to take the block and place it under your left hip. To do that, you can lean onto your right hand and lift your hips up. Slide the block or the book in under your left hip and sit up. And that's to work to get your hips balanced here. Or not, as is appropriate for you. Choose. Gomukhasana legs. Did you know that you have two different sides to holding your hands? Well, you do. For me, whenever I bring my hands and I interlace my fingers, my left index finger is on top of my right. It's just the way it is. This is really not odd and uncomfortable. We're going to do the odd and uncomfortable. Welcome to Stephen Ewashkiw's yoga class. Odd and uncomfortable. It's the best feedback I've ever got. No. So interlace your hands behind your back and change the class. Do the odd and uncomfortable hand holding. Turn your upper arms out, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and lift your hands. It just helps you access what's happening in your shoulders and your arms in a slightly different way so that when you've done both sides, it's actually balanced. Then take your mind hand and touch your belly again. Move your belly back towards your spine and lift up into the bottom of your spine a little. Lift your hands away from your lower back. And breathe. Take your awareness to your lower back. Draw it in, but move your belly back towards it. Lift up through your spine. And release your hands. Walk your hands forward. Lift your hips up. If you were sitting on the prop, move it off to the side. Uncross your knees. Bring your knees together. Bring your feet together. And sit back on your heels. Walk your hands back so they're just in front of your knees, just a bit wider than your knees. Push down through your hands, and then like cat pose, you're going to really, really round your back and bring your forehead to your knees or to your back. Round your back, bring your forehead to your knees. So it's like child's pose, but pretty intense. I call this intense stretch of the back, or something. I don't know what I call it. Push your hands down and forward to get more stretch for your spine. And guess what? Place your focus into what's happening in your lower back. Really feel your lower back opening in this pose. Really, I call this child's pose stretch. That's what I usually call it in my notes when I'm planning classes. Push your hands forward. Round your back actively, like cat pose. Place your focus in your lower back. And then sit up. Walk your hands back a little, come up onto your fingertips, and separate your knees just a little bit. It's Vajrasana. Thunderbolt pose. Appropriate for a stormy day like today. Thunderbolt pose. We had some thunder. We don't get a lot of lightning here. Interlace your fingers in front of you. Push your hands away from you. And stretch your arms up. To help you focus on your lower back, move your belly back towards your spine. Give that little lift into the bottom of your ribs. That'll also help you stretch out of your shoulders more. And think about your lower back. Move your index fingers and your baby fingers back and up. And then release your hands. Bring your hands down to your sides. And roll your shoulders a little bit. Shake it out. Place your hands on the ground. Lift your hips up. Swing your feet over to one side. Sit on your butt. Stretch your legs out. And give them a little shake. For this next pose, you might want the yoga block or book, whatever you've got. So if you've got a yoga block or a yoga book and you're going to want it, grab it so that it's nearby. And if you're like, oh, I don't have one, I don't know if I want it, that's okay. You've got me here. I'll help you through this. Don't worry. Come back to your knees. Kneel up. Then separate your feet so it's enough space that you can sit down on the ground between your feet. Doesn't matter if you can sit down on the ground between your feet. That's not really what I'm asking for. I want enough space so that you could, in theory. This is where the block will come in handy for some of us. Then walk your hands back, bring your hands to the ground, start to lower your butt, and sit down between your heels. Now, it's not going to go as easily as it did for me, for all of you, but if you can sit on the ground between your heels, do. Virasana, hero's pose. If you can't, you have two other choices. One choice is your yoga block or your yoga book. You're going to place that sideways between your ankles and sit on it. So you can lift your hips up, slide the book in, and sit on it. If you've got a block and this is too low, you can also turn it up a notch. That doesn't work very well with a book because it gets a little less stable. But choose one of those settings if you have something to sit on. You can also use a folded up blanket if you have that available. Or if you don't have a prop, it's okay. I've got something else for you. You're going to go back to Vajrasana, which is sitting on your heels. So you can bring your feet together again and sit on your heels. I know, that's a lot of talk before you get into the pose, but it's just, you've got to make sure that there's something for everybody. So it's Vajrasana, sitting on your heels. It's Virasana with a prop, sitting on the prop. Or it's Virasana, sitting on the ground. Whichever variation you're in, reach back and grab the flesh of your butt and untuck it. And sit up tall. Spread your toes, push down through your feet. Virasana. Or Vajrasana. Enjoy the sound of the rain. Since your hands are free, take one hand, touch your belly. Move your belly back towards your spine. And get a little lift into the bottom of your ribs. That same work we've been coming to again and again. Keep that, and bring your hand back to your lap. Stretch up through the top of your head, Virasana. Walk your hands forward, push through your hands, push through your feet, lift your butt up. If you've got the prop there, reach back and move it out of the way. Swing your feet over to one side, sit down, and stretch your legs out. Give your legs a little shake, rocking side to side, open up your knee joint a little bit. Just a little bit more freedom there. And then come up onto your knees. Kneel up. Tuck your toes under. There's been a lot of feet flat already today, so tuck your toes under and sit up tall. Put your hands onto your waist and point your elbows down. Take your mind hand, remember that's the invisible hand inside your mind, and touch your belly with it. Move your belly back towards your spine. Get a little lift into your ribs, lift up through your chest and look up. Now, I'm using my thumbs to wrap around my back. You can try that. This gives you a little bit of touch in your lower back so that you can remember to bring your focus to your lower back. Push your feet down, push your hips forward. Push down with your hands, move your belly back towards your lower back, and lift through your ribs and look up. And then really tuck your butt underneath you, push your hips forward. Remember to tone your belly back towards your spine, lift it up into the bottom of your ribs, and lift it up and out of your pose and curl back. Then reach back with one hand for your ankle, reach back with your other hand for your ankle, push through your feet, move your shoulders back and squeeze them together like we did when we were interlacing our fingers behind our back, and stretch out of your hips. Now, to keep your focus on your lower back, with your belly back towards your spine. And lift your belly a little into the bottom of your rib cage. Ustrasana, camel pose. Come out, lift your breastbone and come up. Untuck your toes, place your feet flat. Sit back on your heels. And then swing your feet over to one side. Stretch your legs out in front of you. And lean back on your hands. Shake your legs a little. Rock it out. And now I'm going to do a demo for you. Yeah, even on recorded classes, I do demos. I want you to watch this, and then we'll do it together. So you have a choice. You can sit in Vajrasana, sitting on your heels. You can sit in Virasana, sitting on the ground between your heels. Or you can sit in Virasana with the block between your heels. You get to choose, but you don't have to go there yet. I'm just going to set up in Virasana, untuck my butt a little bit. So what we're going to do is a different entry into Ustrasana. I really like this entry. It's really fun and really a lot happens in it. And I just think it's a really enjoyable entry. But if you're new to it, it's a little odd. Welcome to my classes. You're going to take your thumb and index finger webbing, and you're going to hook it around the back of your heel. You don't have to do this yet. You can just watch. You're going to push back and down a little with your hand hooked around your heel. You're going to do this on both feet. Push back and down a little. Again, just watch. And then the next step is to do that. Push back and down. Move your shoulders back. Point your elbows back. Tone your belly. Lift into the bottom of your ribs. And then you have to tuck your butt and lift your butt off the ground. But just a little. So you're not going into Ustrasana yet. So pick your butt up as you tuck your butt underneath you. But then you need to open up more. So open your shoulders up more. Point your elbows back more. And then unfurl the whole pose. Hips forward. Lift out of your hips. And curl it back. Remember, we're focusing on our lower back. So tone your belly. Move the space around your navel back towards your lower back. And lift that space around your navel into the bottom of your ribs. To come out, we're going to go the same way. Lift your head and look forward. Move your shoulders forward and lower your hips. Pause. Lean forward. Sit down, stick your butt out. And sit up. That's how we're doing it. Choose Virasana, Virasana on a prop, or Vajrasana sitting on your heels. We'll meet there. Untuck your butt. You're going to take the webbing of your hands and hook it into your heels. Push back and down a little bit. Move your shoulders back. Open up your chest. Point your elbows back. Push back and down with your feet. The next stage is to tuck your butt and lift it up a little bit. Lift your butt, tuck it a little bit. But that makes you close your chest off again. So now move your shoulders back. Lift your chest. And here we get to unfurl it. Tuck your butt, push your butt forward, lift your hips forward and up, move your chest back and up. And remember your lower back. Tone your belly, move it back towards your spine, lift it up into the bottom of your ribs. That should feel really nice in your lower back, rather than hurting your lower back, which Ustrasana can do sometimes. Camel pose, Ustrasana. To come out, go in the reverse order. Lift your head, move your shoulders forward and lower your hips some. And then stick your butt out, lower your hips more. Ta-da! You did it! Lift your hips up, swing your feet to one side, push your legs out in front of you, The tops of my feet are really, really grateful to be out of that pose. We did it. The next pose is a nice little twist for our belly, twist for our obliques, twist for our spine. Lie down on your back. Bring your arms into cactus pose. That's elbows out to your side, palms up. And then pick your feet up, squeeze your legs together. Bring your shins parallel to the ground. Look over your left shoulder, squeeze your knees together, and twist them over to the right. Bring your feet to the ground, well, your right foot to the ground, and then relax your knees so they start to lower more. Doesn't matter if your knees come to the ground. Push your left shoulder down to the ground or towards the ground. And stay here. This is stage 1 of a pose that's called Jatara Parivartanasana. Some of you will do the full pose a little bit later. But for now, we're doing the bent knee modified version. It's so that it's a cleansing pose rather than the other pose is just a lot more work. Take your feet up off the ground. Bring your knees back up to center. Lift your feet so that your shins are parallel to the ground. Look over your right shoulder and move your knees over the left. Bring the outer edge of your left foot to the ground. Right foot resting on your left foot. Right knee pushing into your left knee. And then relax in your hip a little so your knees get lower. Push your right shoulder down to the ground. Jatara Parivartanasana. Stage 1 or modification. Take your feet up, bring your knees back to center, and bring your feet down to the ground. Bring your feet so they're about hip distance apart, and walk them in towards your butt so they're close enough that you can touch them when you reach for them with your fingers. We're setting up for Setu Bandha, Sarvangasana, or bridge pose. Bend your elbows, point your fingers up to the ceiling. Push your shoulders down, push your feet down, and lift your hips up. Tuck your butt underneath you a little bit, and behind your lower back, interlace your fingers, walk your shoulders in, push down through your shoulders, lift through your chest. Think about your belly to focus on your lower back. With your belly back towards your spine, get that little lift into the bottom of your rib cage. Stretch your knees forward. Place your awareness into your lower back and breathe into your lower back. Yes, that's a metaphor. You can't actually breathe into your lower back, but imagine that you can. Focus on that action. Take a couple of breaths here. Release your hands and lower your butt to the ground. Wiggle your hips on the ground a little bit. Even bring your lower back to the ground and give it a little love. Then we're going to do that again. Setu Bandha, Sarvangasana. But remember that there are two sides to interlacing your hands. So this time, do the opposite side. So for me, it's right index finger on top of my left for the second side. Bend your elbows, push your shoulders down, push your feet down, lift your hips up. And then do the second side of your hands interlacing behind your back. Walk your shoulders in. Just gives us a nice balance here. Push your shoulders down to open your chest. Tone your belly to protect your lower back. Create more space for your lower back. Stretch your knees forward, create more opening for your lower back. Push your shoulders down, to take this pose into your upper back. Setu Sarvangasana. Take a couple more breaths here. Release your hands and lower your butt down to the ground. Now you get the option of full Jatara Parivartanasana, which is legs straight, arms straight out to your sides. So you can do the bent knee, bent elbow version, or straight arms, straight legs. And then you bring your feet to touch your hands. What? I know, this one's crazy. Turn your toes to face your right hand. It can help to look at your right hand so you know where you're going. Squeeze your legs together. Squeeze your legs together. Push down for your left hand. Oh, couldn't quite get my foot. My legs are too long today. Jatara Parivartanasana. Then look over your left shoulder. Push through your arms. Bring your feet up to center. Push through your right arm. Turn your toes to the left. Look to your left hand. And bring your toes to touch your left hand. Oh, if you can see my legs shaking, they are shaking. This one's tough. Then look over your right shoulder. You can also be doing this with your knees bent and your elbows bent. Push down through your right arm, left arm. Bring your legs up to center. And do one more each side. Turn your toes to the right. Bring your legs together. Oh, touch your right hand. Come up to center. Look to the right. Bring your toes to touch your left hand. Come up to center. Oh, bend your knees, bring your feet to the ground, and then rock your knees from side to side. Two more bridge poses. So walk your feet in enough so that you can touch your heels with your fingertips. Have your feet about hip distance apart. Then bend your elbows, point your fingers up to the ceiling. Push your elbows down, push your shoulders down. Push your back of your head down just a little bit. And then lift your hips up. Tuck your butt underneath you. Lift your hips higher. Underneath you, interlace your fingers. Walk your shoulders in. Take your mind hand to your belly. That's right, I have not forgotten your mind hand. Take it to your belly. Move it back towards your spine and get a little lift into the bottom of your rib cage. Get a little lift into your upper back. Open your chest here, away from the ground. Setu Sarvangasana. If you'd like to do Urdhva Dhanurasana here, you can. I'm not going to. I'm not going to walk you through it. But if it's in your practice and you want to add Urdhva Dhanurasana here, or full wheel, full bow, you can do that. On your belly, everyone. Move it back towards your spine. Stretch your knees forward. Release your hands and lower your hips. If you come into Urdhva Dhanurasana, start to make your way down to your back. You'll get one more option for that. So one more Satubandha Sarvangasana or one more Urdhva Dhanurasana. You get to choose. I'm going to do Satubandha, bridge pose with you. Push your feet down, bend your elbows, lift your butt. Change the clasp of your hands, interlace your hands underneath you, walk your shoulders in, lift through your chest. If you want to go into Urdhva Dhanurasana, it's good to enter from bridge pose. It's not necessary, but if you're here and you want to go into it, you can place your hands under your shoulders and go all the way up when you're ready. Or stay in bridge pose with me. Whichever choice you make, place your focus into that choice. Turn your belly. Move your belly back towards your spine. Get a little lift into your ribs. Get a little lift into your upper back. Release your hands and lower down. If you're in Urdhva Dhanurasana, tuck your chin, bring your shoulders down to the ground, and come all the way down. And bring your knees into your chest. Wiggle your lower back on the ground a little bit. Kind of rock from side to side a little, or even just do a little side bend. So really I'm just moving my right knee towards my right shoulder and then away. Left knee towards left shoulder and then away. Just a gentle movement here. And then bring your feet down to the ground. Bring your feet as wide as your mat. Come back to your cactus arms. Move your knees over to the right. Karangyasana. Look to the left. Sometimes called windshield wiper pose. I'm going to wish I had windshield wipers on my scooter on the way home today. Come back up to center. Move your knees over to the left and look to the right. Come back up to center. Right back to the very beginning of class. Lift your knees in towards your chest a little. Hold your knees with your hands. Straighten your arms. Move your knees away from your chest a little. And then just like at the beginning, you get to choose how you move your knees. You can do little circles. You can do back and forth. You can do knees wide, knees together. Choose. Be aware of the choice you make. The more we can be aware of the choices we're making, the more effort we're going to put into our choices, the more thought we'll put into what our choices will bring us. Whatever you're doing here with your knees, it's going to help you get a little massage for your lower back. To place your focus on your lower back and notice how whatever choice you've made is affecting your lower back. Maybe you want to change your choice because it's not giving you the feeling you want in your lower back. Remember that they're your choices. It's your life. And then start to slow it down. Bring your feet to the ground. Stretch your legs out on the ground. Bring your legs together on the ground. Bring your arms to your sides on the ground. Bring your hands to touch your legs. Push your shoulders down. Spread your toes. Supta Tadasana. Take a couple of longer breaths. And then relax your breath. And come into Shavasana. Separate your feet a little. Separate your legs a little. Separate your arms away from your upper body a little. Turn your feet out. Relax your hands. Relax your feet. And rest here. Close your eyes. And I hope you can hear the sound of the rain, that you can enjoy the sound of the rain. We'll spend a couple of minutes here with nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just be. We'll stay here for about another minute. Enjoy this opportunity to rest with yourself. Start to deepen your breath. Take a couple of longer inhales and exhales. Focus on your breath expanding your chest and expanding your lower back. Move your fingers and your toes. stretch through your arms and your legs. Bend your knees and turn onto your side. Use your arms to push yourself up and sit up. Come to a seated position with your eyes closed. Bring your hands together in the prayer position in front of your heart. Stretch out tall through your spine. And one more time, place your awareness into your lower back. See how you feel there. Let's end, as we began, with one Om. Exhale. Inhale. Thank you. I wish you could stick around and enjoy the sound of the rain with me. But wherever you are, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks.
Well, we have much better weather here today in Vancouver than I did that day in Bali when we filmed that, but man, that was a really fun day to be filming. What a storm. I hope you really got into that practice and really got taken away with it. If you're looking for another practice of mine to do in the future, there's a class of mine you can click on, add to your watch later list, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please do. Just click on my picture right over there to subscribe. If you've got questions, stick it in the comments below, and I'll get back to you soon. Thanks, OMies.